this episode of 10x Nonprofit, we'll look at 10x collaboration. And there's a couple of synergistic aspects that come together, but the goal would be to have 10 times more potent, fluid, flexible teams working 10 times more dynamically in a competitive environment. Where the ultimate metric is amount of well-being created per energy unit expended, and the amount of positive impact generated in on human beings. So a couple of things. So one, we'll get down to it. It's a little bit backwards in the way I've written it, but anyone can join a project. So you or I, as a retired homeowner, teenage idealist in Japan, anyone can join a project if they qualify as a team member, and that will be set up as the team designer. So some team designers might say must have completed 2 projects prior in order to sign up for this particular project, or must have experience for this role in this and this and this. That can be specified, but anyone can sign up for a project. If they like a role and they meet the criteria, they can sign up. Secondly, the idea of a worldwide open source marketplace of charitable giving of time being hosted on the app is a framework that will allow individuals from multiple nonprofits, as well as the private sector, to participate without regard for whether someone does or doesn't work as an employee with a particular nonprofit. And 3, that the trust and excellence of the community is sustained by tracking a couple of key metrics, time over time, and in a certain extent is rated by the app itself, which can track, for example, response times, the amount of necessary reclarification, etc., that is needed in an email, etc., to look at communication excellence, whether or not it exceeds or meets the given specifications for the role and the project, whether a given team member is done with their portion of the work on a completion date, by an agreed completion date, whether it's on budget, and a space for some of the more intangibles, but that this actually develops and trains discipline and excellence. I think it's important that the teams be built for a specific project. And when using the app, if you find, for example, you work really well with a certain team member, you've done 5 or 10 different projects, one that took an hour, one that took 3 hours, one that took a day, etc. And so you've gotten a little bit of familiarity, and there's a specific team member that you really enjoy working with, perhaps even as a collaboration in a specific domain of graphic art and animation. You can select to be notified anytime the person you're interested in, is involved in helping on a project anywhere on the app. Similarly, if you really like the thought process behind a particular project designer, you can select to be notified anytime there are team positions that you would be qualified for with a particular designer. And so, that's a way that you can, build a sense of rapport, excellence, and comradeship with team. And anyone can post a project with a cost-benefit analysis. And any nonprofit in the world that is supporting and sustaining the basic infrastructure of the app can use the tools of the app to dramatically leverage their nonprofit and to create a tremendous cost savings and synergy effect simultaneously. The cost savings comes, for example, let's say you've got a volunteer bookkeeper that's helping this nonprofit and it's helping that nonprofit, and this is a retired bookkeeper that wants to help nonprofits, and you're able to locate them via the app to help with books. Let's say you want to have the app handle payroll in a certain way. And so you're able to use that and save the money with a payroll service. Let's say that you do need a graphic artist a few hours a week, but you want to share that graphic artist with the rest of the nonprofit community as a resource. And actually put some chips in the game and make a resource available where you pay that graphic artist to put you first, and then any time left over, they look on the app to see which other nonprofit projects they could help. And so anyone can post a project with a cost-benefit analysis. And that cost-benefit analysis, which is an analogy of the amount of energy it would take to create the result and the amount of projected well-being per unit of energy spent, this creates a natural competition within projects. And obviously, the app can prioritize and put projects at the top that, for example, cost $1, take 10 hours, and do not cost any natural resources, and create 100 units of well-being, versus a project that costs $10,000, several trees, and 20 hours of time, and creates 50 units of well-being. Now, these are projections, but that's also a metric in terms of, for a project designer, the one that designs the cost-benefit analysis. Every project designer that has a profile will have a review of the projected amount of well-being and the actual amount of well-being, and get points for exceeding projected amounts of well-being per unit of energy invested, rather than creating a pipe dream that says this is going to be great, and it turns out it costs a lot of money and not many people like it. And so this framework for collaboration is one I would enjoy, spending time with today. It's something that doesn't exist, to my knowledge. It's something that can cut costs and facilitate synergy 10 times more than anything I'm aware of today.